So working on the 2009 Volkswagen Beetle with a 2.5 and a manual transmission. Got a bad oil leak on the ground after it's been sitting in the garage for a while. First thing I looked at after I popped the cover off is looking at the valve cover gasket, and then I looked on the back side as well, but it's not terrible. It may have a slight leak, if you can see that, but it's not causing all that much oil to be leaking on the ground after about a week or so. And then the cap, right under there, there's a little bit of, residue there, but again, nothing major. So from what I researched, everybody thinks it's a rear main seal, but on these 2.5 motors, it's actually most likely, if you have a lot of oil seepage above on the top of the transmission housing and near the engine, instead of the rear main seal, I'm thinking it's more of the common failure point, the vacuum pump housing. The gasket goes bad and it leaks, and I think that is going to be the culprit. And we are going to take this all apart, and once I have it out of there, I can make sure I order the correct part to replace it. Now you could, from what I could research, you could just pop this cover off and the gasket right behind it. You could just run a bead of silicone all the way around, but that's honestly not the best fix, so let's do the best fix. So we'll work on getting this out of there. So you can pull this vacuum hose here right off of the fitting. Just give it a tug straight back. It may not go at first like it did for me, but just keep working it. It'll go. It's plastic, so be careful with it. So I'm tucked mine up out of the way up here. And then I have my T25 with a 3-inch extension and my 1/4-inch socket. I've got the bottom two loose. I'll break the top two cover bolts loose. For the next step here, the other one is take you down and then see it there? I can see it. I just don't know if the camera's picking up. Yeah, there it is, right there. So this last one was hard to get to, right here. So what I did is I put the socket extension in between the two hoses and just pushed down a little bit on this hose because there's some flicks there. And that way I could get the socket on the T25 and loosen that last cover bolt. And with that, the cover plate comes off. And next, we shall look to take off 3, I believe they're T30 bolts. So we got one right there, right below that hex. That hex may have to come off as well, I'll see, but this one's going to come off. Then next, we'll have this one here that will be coming off. There should be one down low. Let's take a look. Yes, that one will also be coming off. And then the whole housing should be able to come off. Now, when we get this top left one loose, we can focus in there, that bracket will need to slide forward. So we'll be sure to do that. Okay, so that 10mm bolt will have to come out. So again, 10mm socket, 3-inch extension on the 1/4-inch ratchet, and when I said again, I'm pulling up on this hose to slip the whole thing in between so you can get straight on. You'll have to put a little bit of downward pressure, not much, on this flexible hose. Now for one of these T30 bolts, I have 2 out so far. I got the one out on the side, call it 3 o'clock or so. This shift bracket is right in the way, and I tried to have a T30 in this swivel and come out in this open area. But what actually worked better is I just took the T30 socket directly on a 3/8 ratchet and I snuck it right down in this area. There's not much room, but you can just barely get it directly on. And then once you do, you can just pull up on the ratchet a little bit to get it loose. And then you take the ratchet off and just put your hand on the socket and then spin that bad boy off by hand. So set up just like that right in front of the shifter bracket. And then the bottom one should be pretty straightforward. T30 and a 3-inch extension. Alright, so we have it out. There is the bracket pushed forward to the front of the car. And then this guy, because it's manual, it's this space is open enough where you can just sneak it right on out of there. Alright. Oh, dropped a piece. I'll have to go get that. Let's get this guy on a rag. Okay, so this is the metal gasket here. And looking at it, it's could have been the culprit of our leak there. But what I've read is it's more of this guy, that's the culprit. And there is a updated part with a better cover plate, better sealing to the housing, so we'll look into that. Oh, I just dropped the diaphragm piece. Let's see. I'm gonna have to look around for a little while. It's probably got stuck in some random hideaway place. It's gonna be super hard to find, but we'll just have to clean that area up, put it on the new one. That face, which is looking pretty clean already. We'll just give it a good wipe down. And that's taking apart the vacuum pump from your 2.5 Volkswagen. This happens to be a Beetle 2009. Okay, so judging by the one major leaking area right here, you know, not so much over here or on this section, I'm going to say it was this metal gasket piece, because there's just a ton of sludge and buildup there. And then that black diaphragm piece. Thankfully I found it. It's not just sitting down the engine bay. So I'll give you a little demo here. Just spins around in there. Pretty cool. Okay. But yeah, that's, I mean, this O-ring or more gasket piece, that could have been also a failure point, but it looks like just from the outside of this housing, and there's a lot of buildup directly on the ears and the tabs of this metal gasket. I'm going to say it's the metal gasket. Either way, we'll get the new part and we shall install it, and hopefully no leaks, because we do have to be topping off quite a bit. And there's oil soaked all underneath, so we'll have to clean all that up. I think that's what we're working with here. You can even see, like, that might just be paint that's just chipping off. Just from age and heat cycles, I would say.